Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Body and Mind Strong podcast. I'm Renee, your host and integrative fitness coach. We are on episode 22 today, and I have a special guest who is a fitness professional, coach, and author. Welcome, Rian Andrea.
Good morning.
Good morning. I am so glad you came on. This is exciting because for those to let you guys all know, we met actually through social media, and I was scanning through her Instagram, and I noticed that you actually have your hands in a few big things going on right now. So I totally wanted to have you on.
Very nice. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, nice. So why don't we start telling us a little bit first about yourself, and we'll go into later about those big things that you're into.
Sure. So my brand is called the Physique Athlete. As you stated before, my name is Rian Andrea, and I specifically train my clients who want to develop a physique, who want to shape their physique, and we do that through strength training, AKA bodybuilding. I'm hesitant to use the word bodybuilding because I don't want to scare anyone off, but essentially at the core of the training is absolutely that. It's strength training with weights. That is the primary focus. And that's the core of my work.
Yeah. It's interesting that you say that, because as soon as you say bodybuilding, people just like, especially ladies, just think of like getting really bulky and getting huge, and they're afraid to like lift any weights because they're afraid they're going to get huge. And and I'm like, if it was that easy, I would totally be. You imagine what I would look like now.
Right. I lift 5 days a week. I could. In my dreams,
Yes, exactly. Because I think I kind of build muscle a little bit easier because I have a slower metabolism, but I'm like, I have to work hard for what I got. You guys, don't even worry about bulking up.
Absolutely.
Nice. Okay. And so the clientele that you like to, is there any kind of specific niche you like to work with?
Oh yeah. I think my favorite would definitely have to be newbies. People who are brand new to the gym, who probably, some sport experience, probably middle school or high school. But after that, life kicks in and you get busy. And so the people who are coming back to the gym after experiencing a sport or not, I would definitely say those are my favorite people to work with, because, you read studies that say, every decade you lose X amount of muscle, so a lot of the times clients come to me and they think it's over, and it's like, wait a minute, you have another 40, 50 years left to live. It's not over. We're just maybe starting over in a different place with a different body, with different hormones. But I really enjoy working with those people who are coming back to the gym, especially after a long hiatus.
Oh, yes, definitely. I know I've had a few that were in that situation, and then it's kind of cool just to watch them get excited about what they can do then, because it's all new and they're like, check this out.
Yeah, so, it's almost like discovering this brand new body that they forgot they had, or they didn't know they had. One of my favorite exercises definitely to work with my female clients is the leg press, because the guys kind of look over, they give side eye and they're looking like, how many 45s are on that machine? But it's an empowering machine, because especially females find they can lift, probably over 200 pounds the first time out on the leg press. So that's one of my favorite exercises to work with, especially with my new clients.
Nice. Interesting. Yeah. So do you have a memorable client? Someone that just kind of blew you away, or maybe some ladies that you've worked out with around?
Memorable, I would say in a way that client came to me and she had tried several different things. We were trying to fix a pattern that was off from her lower back into her glutes and into her hamstring. So basically the entire backside of her body was just off. And she tried all the things. She tried yoga. She tried physical therapy. She tried aerosty. She tried so many things. And we started working together on the foundations, just, a simple glute bridge, very basic things. And about 90 days later, she said, Ryan, this is the only thing that has worked. So memorable in a way that strength training helped her in a way that no other exercise, like the entire spectrum of fitness hadn't, until she came into the gym and we were able to straighten out that pattern.
Nice. Nice. Okay. And I also want to say, you mentioned when I spoke to you briefly the other day, you mentioned an older lady that
yes.
I want you to tell that one, because I was like, yeah.
Okay. What part of the story do you want me to tell? What part do you want?
What was it? It was just the part where she was just like, I think it was pull-ups, that she was just going to town, and she's just.
Yeah. Okay. So when I started personal training. I started working at a small locally owned gym. I mean, on a busy day, we would have probably 10 people. The really special thing about this gym was most of the members were over 50, probably 55. So I was one of the youngest people working out there, and I would see these people doing amazing things. You don't know how old any of them are, but I remember somebody coming over to me and whispering and saying, oh, she's 68 years old. And, I'm looking around the gym like, who's 68 years old? Who are you talking about? And I'm like, that lady right there on the pull-up bar. And she would be excited if I say her name. So her name is Jeannie, and she's 68 years old, and she warms up with 25 pull-ups. That was her warm-up. And I think in that moment, I distinctly remembering and saying, this is something I could be doing for the long haul. At the point I was watching her, I could probably do a pull-up and a half, and at 68, she's knocking out 25 for her warm-up. That's totally what made me transition into becoming a personal trainer and saying, you can do this for the long haul. Being frail and sedentary doesn't have to be an option. You don't have to do that.
Yeah. I love stories like that. That totally just blows me away. I love hearing stuff like that.
It blew me away. It's pretty cool too. We keep in touch, and I talked to her last week actually via text, and I'm making sure she's still doing those. Like I aspire to do that. So she has to keep going for me.
Nice. Okay. So a little segue from personal training, you went in and decided to start doing a bodybuilding show. So,
sure. Yes.
Yeah. So what made you go into that direction?
Really, I didn't choose it. My coach chose it for me. And that's something that I will always say. That was not my choice. I had mastered, the eating 6 times a day. I had mastered the routine of going to the gym. I had to be at the gym at 5:30 p.m. I would get off work and go straight to the gym. Do not pass go, do not stop, nothing, go straight there. And I had really just kind of found a rhythm and found a routine. And my coach said, you need a challenge. Like you've got this part. Now let's take it up a notch. And that's how I transitioned into actually competing. It was not my idea. It was my coach's idea. She said, we're going to do this. And at the end, I'm very glad she pushed me in that direction.
So which category? Is it category did you do?
Category. Yeah. Category or division. I started in women's physique. And there are different divisions. There's women's bikini, there's women's figure, there's women's physique, and then women's bodybuilding or classic bodybuilding. And as the divisions go, the more muscle each division has. So bikini is a slightly softer look. The bikini athletes still work very hard. Don't let the word soft, confuse you. They just have a softer look from the judging criteria, round delts, higher, tighter glutes. Women's figure, that division also wears heels. Women's figure wears heels also, a tad bit more muscle. The posing is a little bit different also. And then when you get to women's physique and women's bodybuilding, you are looking at much more muscle development, i.e. time in the gym, muscle development, more conditioning, meaning bringing the body fat a lot lower than you would for women's bikini or women's figure. And women's bodybuilding and physique don't wear heels.
Yes. Okay, yeah. And they come out with, just recently started coming out with a new division, wellness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was thinking wellness was going to be a little bit more like figure, but I think it's more like bikini, just thicker thighs, if I'm understanding it correctly.
That's a really good definition, I would say. So depending on the organization you compete in, you have women's, it's wellness, or shape. And absolutely, those divisions opened up for the South American athletes, who are naturally just genetically put together quite differently. Where you do, like you said, you have thicker thighs. You were just born like that.
Mm-hmm.
You were born with more muscle mass on the lower half, and no matter what you do, your lower half just continues to outpace your upper half.
Mm-hmm.
And so divisions were created for athletes like that. Everybody gets a chance in bodybuilding. So actually very grateful for organizations for recognizing those differences in physiques and not trying to force a physique into a category just because this is all we have. All we have is figure. So those divisions opened up for athletes like that.
Nice. Yeah, because I actually have a small little goal of actually hitting on stage, and I was doing great until COVID hit, and then I just let myself, like, I messed up. I messed up. So I'm back on track trying to get there maybe for 2022. And I'm kind of like, do I go wellness? Do I go figure? We're going to have to see what my body does. And so, and this is funny. I was, the other day, all of a sudden, I tried to do one of the figure poses, and my lats just popped out. And I walk over my boyfriend, and I was like, "Check this out!" And I popped him out.
Yeah. They do appear. They appear at strange times in strange places, don't they?
Yeah. And I was just strutting. I'm like, "See, you don't see him now, but boom, look at him."
That's right. And I think what you just hit on is the importance of learning to pose your physique and learning when to do that. When is the appropriate time to flare your lats and draw your abs in, because it's not always. And so that's, you hit on that right there. You got it.
So, and I'm just learning, and I'm just slowly watching things and learning, which really intrigues me, because I saw that book that you created that came from this journey of getting on stage for you. And yes, I've already checked it out. So tell us a little bit about this book. This book was exciting when I saw it.
Absolutely. The title of the book is 16 Weeks, The Physique Athlete's Guide to a Perfect Prep. The book came...
Stop you really quick just to label. For those who are watching on YouTube, I'm going to try to do a share screen and show you guys what you're talking about. Yeah. Oh, she has it too? Yeah. Yes. Nice.
There it is right there.
Right. Yeah. So go ahead.
First, I think I'm going to back up a little bit just because you have it there on the screen. One of the really important things, it was important for me to capture in the book, and I did my best to capture this on the cover, that here you have the gym, the weights, the water bottle, the towel, you do this grunt work in the gym, you have on the hoodie and the baseball cap, but that 16 weeks is in glitter on purpose. That 16 weeks is in glitter under that stage light on purpose, because you have to make that transition from that semi-sedentary before picture to 18 months later, where you have medals around your neck and you're getting to eat donuts. Okay, so the content of the book is what happened in the middle. The book intentionally talks about topics like, should I bring my kids? The right suit, how to pick the right suit, how to pick the right coach from the beginning. It talks about some of the technical aspects of the sport, like mandatory poses. What are the mandatory poses for wellness and shape? Are they the same as bikini, even though it looks like the athletes are the same? So it's a lot more specific to the technicalities of the sport, the actual sport, and not just lifting in the gym and eating chicken and rice.
Yes. Nice. So what made you decide to write this book?
Oh, that's great. It started, honestly, as journal entries. The book started as journal entries I journaled every single day during prep. And the journaling was definitely, it was an outlet. Going through prep, you're learning things about yourself that you may have never realized. There are things that, for me at least, and I've talked to other competitors, that come up from your past that you work up and work through during prep. It is not as easy as it looks. It is not just as shiny and glittery and tan and, sparkly as it looks. And so it was really important for me at first to just capture those journal entries for myself, and I go back and read them, and really some of the journal entries, I'm like, why am I doing this? This is horrible. Like, I was doing my cardio and I kicked the rock as hard as I could because I didn't want to be out there, but it was good to read that and say, okay, but you also won and now you have a book. So you kept going, so it was really important. But that's how the book started. It started as journal entries.
And I like how you mentioned it's you didn't say not as pretty, but not as glamorous as, if you jump on YouTube, you're going to see all these videos and you always see the end results and it looks like it's just a great thing, and it's not.
Yes.
And it is a tough journey to get there. It's a long and it's a slow process, and it doesn't happen overnight. And yeah.
I think one of the most, what I found, I'm on the internet at night, like other people, I'm looking in the groups, I'm reading information, I'm seeing comments, I'm seeing posts. One of the most underestimated aspects of coming from the gym and just doing your lifts to the stage as a beginner is the technical pieces in the middle, is just learning to pivot, and not pick up both feet, learning to pivot in heels, learning how to flare your muscles, learning when to flare your muscles, where to look. All that stuff is a part of the show. That's a part of why the girls look so shiny and glamorous and pretty, but it's also learned. And that's one of the things that the book, I really, really tried to capture that in the book. You will not find a single meal plan. There's no talk of macronutrients. There are no pictures about, look at my great meal prep on the counter. It is really, athlete check-in. What should you expect at athlete check-in? Who's going to be there? How should you behave? That kind of stuff.
Nice. Interesting. And yes, you brought the heels. That is the one thing that kind of terrifies me. I normally walk in block heels that are like maybe 2 inches, and that's
sure.
I know I'm going to get like 4-inch heels, and I'm like, well, first it's going to be sweet because I'm going to be 6 feet tall, but
okay.
I have to walk on stage in front of people on them and look smooth.
Yes. One of the things I mentioned in the book is, since you brought up the stage and the heels, if the organization at Athletes Check-In, they may offer the opportunity to walk the stage. Take the opportunity to walk the stage. Take every opportunity given to you. Don't feel like, because I felt like this, I'm speaking from experience. I felt like, oh, if I go up and walk on the stage, then everybody's going to think and they're going to look at me and they're going to, yes, go walk on stage. And I say this because there's tape on stage, and carpet and tape that's lifting in heels don't always go together very well. So take the opportunity to walk the stage that you'll actually be on in your heels. And so where your public enemies are. That lifting tape is definitely a public enemy.
Nice. That's good to know. I've never heard that one before.
Yes. Please walk the stage.
Nice. Okay. And it's interesting. What I'd also like to let other people know, and you mentioned this before, I mean, she is a personal trainer, yet she has a coach to go through this process. She even had a coach prior to this process. So yes, coaches have coaches as well. So I always like to point that out.
Yeah, I love hearing you say that, because I find, in any sport, if you, or any field, actually, you read peer-reviewed journals, if you have a degree in history or nursing, or you have peers. And sometimes, when I talk to clients and I mention my coach, they, you have a coach. Of course I have a coach. I better have a coach. How do I keep 22 or 30 of you all in line if I don't have a coach? I think that accountability on all levels is important. And that's one of the questions actually in the chapter called Pick the Right Coach from the Beginning. There's a list of questions that I have that you should be asking your coach. And that is one of them. Do you have a coach or a very least peer mentor that you talk to about things? It's important.
It is. I totally agree with that. And part of it also is from what I've heard, and, for those who've been on a diet, when you really get kind of strict, you don't always think that clear. And from my understanding, the closer you get to get on stage, the more brain foggish you get, the harder it gets. You need that support. You need someone to be like, no, you're fine. You're doing fine. Let's go this way. Or,
I agree.
Just kind of support you as well. So
absolutely.
Nice. All right.
I remember having a breakdown with my coach in the gym, and I think I just burst out in tears, and I was like, I can't, I don't want to do this anymore. I was 2 weeks out, 2 weeks out. It's like you've come 14 weeks or 18, 16 weeks, and now you're done at 2 weeks. Give me a break. But it's good to have my coach. She stood there and, read me my rights and said, you're going to do this and you're going to be fine.
Nice. All right. For someone who's brand new to the scene for a bodybuilding competition, what would be the one thing you mentioned one already, which I really love, the stage. So that would be one thing you would advise. Would there be something else for someone who's brand new?
For brand new, and let me clarify, brand new meaning like haven't even stepped into the gym, or they've been in the gym and now they want to compete.
Second part.
All right. They've been in the gym and now they want to compete. I would definitely say to them, get clear on why you're competing. If you're, there is a piece of self-mastery that is, you have to have it to compete. So are you competing for self-mastery? Just to say I can do it, just to say, look what I can accomplish. Are you competing to take it to the professional level? Are you competing as a hobby to keep yourself in shape? Get clear on why you're doing it. And once you know why, then move forward with then what track you're going to go down. There's a chapter in the book called natural versus not natural. And I remember my coach talking to me about what kind of athlete I was going to be. That was something I never thought of. I never thought of not being natural, or if I had the choice to take I never thought of it. So that's something that you want to think about. What kind of athlete are you going to be?
Love it. Love it. Awesome. All right. Well, this is a perfect segue onto you are sponsoring an actual bodybuilding show.
Yes.
I'm going to get that back up on the share screen.
All right. While you get it on share screen, I'll talk a little bit about it. It is GBO Genesis. The promoter is Michael Gaetan. He is a competitor himself. He is a GBO pro, and we teamed up together for, yes, there it is. Yeah. There's the posing clinic. There's James. James is a GBO pro. Tegan is there. It's going to be a good show. It's one of the first shows of 2021. As you may know, or your listeners may know, bodybuilding runs pretty much March through December. And so it is one of the first shows in 2021. So I'm really excited to be a part of his show and to sponsor his athletes and whatever else he needs from me. I was texting him before we got on this call, like, okay, where are we? We're 8 weeks out. March 20th, GBO Genesis. Check it out. It's going to be a great show. We will have he will be having a pro category. Also, pros win money. So that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Nice. It's truly an honor to be a part of GBO Genesis and to be a part of this show.
Oh, that's exciting. How exciting. So I will definitely put the link to this in the show notes as well. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's exciting. I wish I could be there for that one. I am looking, we have one of our first ones here in the Valley of the Sun in Phoenix is in February. And I'm actually looking to see, hopefully they'll allow people in.
The Natural
Bodybuilding show. And so if they are, we're going down because my birthday is like right afterwards, and I'm like, it's
you gotta
birthday.
go.
We
You gotta go. You gotta go. You have to go. You gotta go check it out.
So, and I was like,
That's awesome.
telling my boyfriend, I'm like, I want you to go because I want you to know what I'm going to go through, and want you to know kind of a little bit what to expect. So,
I absolutely think how you asked me a question before about some advice.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're doing the right thing. One of the chapters in the book is called "Go to a Show." And like I said, I tried to keep everything as simple and as on target as possible. It is just that, go to a show. I have been in posing classes with athletes who are 3 weeks out from a show, 4 weeks out from a show, who've never been to a show. And I say in the book, then what are you studying for? You don't know what you're studying for if you've never been to a show. So if you even think about wanting to do a show, go and see. Go study.
Awesome. Yes. And I've been to one, but it was like several years ago. I had a personal trainer years ago, and she was actually competing, and she was like 50 something. And I'm like, I have to go see her. This is just amazing.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
But yeah, I'm like, I'm ready to go to another one. I need to get in there and just be surrounded by it. Yeah. So I'm excited.
It's exciting. It's definitely a high energy environment. I love bodybuilding shows. I don't sleep for a couple days after. I'm kind of just wired. It's a really cool environment. So I'm excited for March. Very excited for March.
Nice. And you said that was March 20th?
Yeah. March 20th in Austin, Texas, GBO Genesis.
I still want to go to Austin. Okay.
Come on over.
It's one of those that my boyfriend, he's like, we got to go. He goes, that's, because I'm kind of a tree hugger hippie at heart. I'm like, I lived in Portland for a while. And so he's like, check out Austin. We got to go. And so the one time we planned last year, it just got blown up with COVID. So I'm like, okay, we'll have to plan another time.
Sure. I understand.
Awesome. All right. I am going to go shift to a little bit more of a personal question. With everything you got going on, you've got this book launch, which is awesome. And then you've got the show coming up that you're sponsoring. How do you manage the stress, and how do you take care of yourself through all this?
How do I manage my stress, and how do I take care of myself through all of this? Last year was quite a challenge. And I think just managing the shift in business, the world events, everything that was going on around me, I had to literally kind of unplug. That was once I realized things weren't going to change in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, like the news said, I had to unplug. Like almost literally close the blinds, shut the doors, go in my room, and just kind of sit with myself for a second and say, you know what? I say to myself sometimes, like, okay, you're still alive. So that's first. It's very basic check-in. You're still here. That means you still have work to do. I try my best to keep things very, very simple. And that helped me. I'm an only child. And so a lot of stimulus really I don't do very well with like a lot of things going on. So I think definitely, like I said, closing the blinds, closing the doors, getting under the covers, and just shutting down for a second to really figure out, okay, what's happening? You're okay, but what's happening? And then what are you going to do? And so once I got a hold of that, it really came down to, okay, what can I control? I can control what I eat. I can control my attitude. My gym is in the garage. Like, nice. What, I have to have some very difficult conversations with myself and say, okay, what are you doing then? What's the problem here? What do you, really, you're still alive. Your refrigerator is full. Your gym's in the garage. I almost had to give myself permission to go, to say, okay, just start over, because it was a starting over. And so I think specifically for my self-care, a lot of my self-care is mental. I will say I don't you know, some people may hop in the shower and they feel great. You know, I that's not really my thing. Mine is more mental, like a mental check-in, like you're still here. That means you still have work to do. And there are a few things you can control. So do that. Keep it very tight. And cook your meals, go work out, come do work, you know, and it helped me also in the self-care aspect to COVID kind of really simplified life in a lot of ways. You know, like I said, it's kitchen garage work, kitchen garage work. It really doesn't get much simpler than that. And for me, that I actually kind of found some solace in that and some like peace. It's saying everything is okay and it's all right here. It's fine. I don't know if that answered your question.
Oh, yes. I love it. Yes.
That's the tree hugger in me coming out. Like,
love it. Yeah, self-talk is huge. You had a kind of reality check. You just kind of have, okay, what's good? This is what's positive. This is what's going on. I know I did a podcast not too long ago about toxic positivity, but you still have to kind of sit back and see, you know, it's okay. This is okay. We're fine.
That was a really good podcast, by the way. I don't know if your listeners watch that podcast. Y'all need to watch that podcast. And I think one of the first things that your other guest said was like, acknowledge that it's not okay. And that was actually, I didn't have a term for it at the time, but that was like, yeah, like I said, I had to go in the room, shut the door, get under the blankets and say, this is not okay, but you know, I can still make this work.
Yes. Well, thank you. Yes. I'm definitely going to have him on again. We had some really good talk. I love that one too. We're going to hit some more topics like that.
Yeah, he was good.
Awesome. All right. All right. So do you have any, first of all, how can people find you?
Oh, you can find me at thephysiqueathlete.com. That is where you can find me. You can purchase the book on Amazon. You can also purchase it directly from my website. If you purchase it directly from my website, I do sign my copies.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Nice. And then you have an Instagram account as well.
Oh, yes. I have IG, The Physique Athlete, and Facebook.
Facebook, yes, because I found you on Facebook as well. So awesome. And I will have all that information in the show notes as well. So
awesome.
All right. Anything left? Any final words you would like to leave our guest with?
I would just say be patient with yourself, especially right now. Be patient with yourself and really think about what's best for you in the moment. Think about what's best for you and be patient with yourself and lift some weights.
Nice. Love it. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Rian. I really enjoyed this. I would love to have you back again sometime and maybe talk a little bit more specific about certain types of like fitness areas.
I would love to. Thank you for having me. Let's do it.
All right. Everyone listening, have a great day. Thank you so much for joining and stay tuned for another awesome episode on the Body and Mind Strong podcast.